Hi everyone, Lisa Haven here. Well, each and every year I come out with a list of predictions that I believe could take place the following year. Now, obviously, these are not 100% going to happen with 100% certainty. They're just my speculation of what I believe next year might hold. Now, I've got a track record so far of about 80% to 90% of it coming to fruition based off of my prior years. So what am I looking at in 2019? What could we see ahead for this year? Well, for starters, I do believe Trump will still be president, though it will be on very shaky ground. I don't believe they have enough guts or balls, if you will, to assassinate the president. So I'm hoping and praying that that is not the case, but I do believe it's possible we could see some movement in the impeachment process. I know the Democrats are very adamant about that lately and keep bringing it up and bringing in their fake Russia narrative, as well as all this new scandal with Trump paying women that wasn't even used for campaign money. It's just a great big lie, but it's possible we can see some movement on that. That's number one. A second prediction, and I've got about 13 of these, is the economy. This is one of the ones that scare me a little more than the others as far as 2019, because the Federal Reserve keeps increasing the interest rates there, and they're doing it repeatedly. It's following similar patterns to what happened during the crisis of 2008. So I foresee in the future stock markets failing miserably. They've already dropped thousands of points this year, and I think we're going to continue to see that next year. I know some are predicting up to 20% drops in that, if not higher, but they're going to rise and fall. And I believe with the added impacts from the Federal Reserve raising those rates, they're really pushing us over the edge, economically speaking, and we could hit some kind of similar recession to 2008 here in the States. And I pray that that's not the case, but again, the Federal Reserve, the more they increase that rate, it's like clockwork. Every time they increase the rate, we either have a recession, or B, a stock market, drop, or stock market crash of some sort. And as you have witnessed towards the end of this year when they've been raising those rates, that's exactly what we've seen. So that is why I'm predicting that. Praying that the economy, I guess, sticks with its Band-Aid, because at some point it will fail. But they obviously want to do something about it under Trump to make him look bad. They don't like President Trump. 3, censorship against Christian and nationalists and gun owners and Trump supporters will absolutely continue. I don't see any movement from the executive office standing against it. I don't see any movement from Congress standing against it. In fact, they pretend like it's happening on both sides. And when Google is called in front of them, or Apple, or whoever it is that they're calling up in Facebook, they are committing perjury to our congressmen. Facebook and Google are. Congress isn't making any calls against it. Nobody's going to jail. No one's getting, perjury crimes or anything of that nature. So they're allowing them to walk all over it. This is why I believe we're going to see more censorship on our part. And it's going to continue under the banner of political correctness. If you speak against homosexuality, or you speak against abortion, or you speak possibly even against immigration, illegal immigration, that could be a form of censorship on your channel, on your platform, or whatever the case may be. But I believe it's going to continue. But I also believe that there will be a pushback at a minor level, if not a bigger level, from alternative media. And I'm hoping from the American public, who starts calling and waking up our congressmen and senators as they visually start seeing us losing more and more of our rights. Number 4 here, citizens will question the authority of the establishment elites and demand that more power be given back to the people. Now, we already see this in different countries of America. We see pushbacks considering Trump became president, considering what happened with Brexit, considering Marie Le Pen, who didn't make it in, but now you can see the repercussions of that in France. So I believe more citizens are going to wake up and start questioning who is really running this country, which leads me to my 5th point. Waves of protest from citizens dissatisfied with governments will become a new norm. And we could get that from both sides. Obviously, we already have Antifa causing chaos. This is a Soros-funded organization. But if we look over in France, we have also the yellow vest people, and it's just the beginning there of what's happening in France. And I honestly believe that that could spread, and we could see some of the yellow vest style protests here in America in the coming 2019 year, depending on what happens there in France. Number 6, nationalism and populism, I believe, are going to continue to rise. Knowledge of them will continue to grow despite the censorship, because a lot of the times the more that they censor, the louder those voices become, be it through mail systems, be it through their own websites. There's ways of getting information out. But that said, while nationalism and populism, these things will rise, I believe Christianity, however, will stay stagnant or possibly decline. We know, scripturally speaking, we know the Bible talks about even the elect shall be deceived in the latter days. And I think that some of what we could see is just Christians getting deceived altogether and following false doctrines. Number 7, terrorist attacks could continue both domestically and internationally. And I add that because we are basically allowing thousands of migrants at the border, illegal immigrants in, and they're not being properly vetted. Criminals are coming in hordes. We know with the last one, Tijuana was basically taken apart by a lot of corruption and crime from the migrant caravans that were stuck there in Tijuana. And so we're going to see some of that here in the States. And I say that because many terrorists like ISIS could infiltrate the migrant camps and come into America. So we could see a lot of that as well. Number 8, indictments. Everybody's talked about indictments and all these sealed indictments that we can't see. And they actually speak about indictments from both sides. The Democrats and the Republicans all talk about it, but they're all sealed and nobody knows who really is going to be indicted. Well, there's a lot of scandals with that, but I believe we may see some of those, not all, small, little bit, maybe a couple, come through. But I cannot say which side I believe will be harmed by that indictment, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat or Libertarian or who knows what. But I believe we may, and I'm saying that like a 50% chance, see some of those surface. And my hope is, I think that we may get some headway on Uranium One, but I do not believe anyone will be going to jail for that, because we have to remember that's a very hard cookie to crumble. That entire empire, the deep state, Hillary Clinton, that's going to take a lot of work for Trump to quote unquote drain the swamp. Number 9, anti-gun laws at the state level will continue to rise. Because we have a Democratic Senate. We've got Republicans in the House, but we have Democrats in the Senate. So I believe at the state level, they're going to continue their attacks on our Second Amendment, just like they've done this year in New York and New Jersey, where they've passed some of the most heinous gun crimes, where they're actually confiscating those guns from people. It's just horrible, but I think we can still see that. However, at the federal level, I know Trump banned bump stocks. Not that big a deal, or not widely used. I think that's why he did it to appease the Democrats, but I say no more appeasing. That enough is enough. So I'm hoping, and I don't think we'll have much against gun laws passed at the federal level, because President Trump is supposedly a Second Amendment follower. So I don't see much happening at the federal level, but at the state level, I do see some of that. Number 10, Christians will be persecuted more than ever before all across the globe, simply for their views of the left's views of Christianity on political correctness. They claim that they're not politically correct because they see certain things as a crime or a sin or as wrong. And so I think that Christians could be more persecuted. In fact, according to a few polls, Christianities in the 21st century are the most persecuted group across the globe. So even biblically speaking, God says that in the latter days that shall increase. And I'm going straight with scripture on that one. But it also says evil will become good and good will become evil. They're literally flipping that in today's generation by making crimes and just sins and flipping them into something good. They're making a sin a political correct statement, turning all things backwards in God's eyes. Number 11, illegal migrants, illegal immigration invasions from the South will continue. We're going to see more caravans. They're not going to stop. The Democrats want their way. The Democrats want more power. They're going to encourage the caravans to come to America in hordes, and they don't care, I believe, the repercussions that has on the families there that are bringing up and risking everything to come to America, when there is a legal process for that. But I believe those are going to continue, not just here in America, but also all over the country, because this is a dictate and a New World Order Agenda 21 thing that they're attempting to do with open borders. 12, increase in earthquakes, tsunamis, fires as predicted in scripture. God says that it will increase with birth pangs as we go along. So we're seeing some of that with, unfortunately, the tsunami that hit Indonesia recently. My heart and prayers are for everyone impacted by that. But we have the Ring of Fire acting up. We have earthquakes from Hawaii to Indonesia to volcanoes all acting up and becoming more intense and increasing over time. So obviously that will continue. And finally, increase in technology and more 5G. 5G is terrifying. The health hazards alone with it are very risky, and they're not telling the public of all the repercussions in that. In fact, in some countries, 5G isn't even allowed. But here in America, they're using it as a depopulation tool, so we could see more rise there. We know AT&T already here in America boasts of their 5G network, and we're seeing them go up all around us. I can see them converting regular 4G poles to these 5G poles under the radar, and it has begun. So we're going to see more of that, and probably with that, an increase as well. I'll add to that one, maybe a number 14, but an increase in things like cancer and autism, dementia, Alzheimer's, because every year, like clockwork, they go up because the radiation from our phones, the GMOs that we're eating, the fluoridation of the water, the vaccines, the all the Fukushima and all this junk, the chemtrails, the geoengineering, or as they call now, injections in the skies, aerosol injections. These are wreaking havoc on our bodies. This is why these things constantly increase. So number 14, I will say the increase in all of that. Anyhow, like I said at the beginning of this video, it's just my opinion. They're, like I said, they're not all 100% going to happen. I don't know the future. So it's completely and utterly, here's my take on what we could see for the coming year. Anyhow, I love you guys, and I'm interested to hear if you guys have any additions to that. Leave them in the comments below, because I'd love to hear some other things that you believe we could see in the 2019 coming year. Anyhow, please don't forget to check out my partner at Virtual Shield, hidewithlisa.com. I always say, make sure you have a VPN. It's for a reason. I have purposefully partnered with them because of what they offer. And it's a very cheap plan. I believe it's around $4 a month for this thing, but it basically hides what you search on the internet. It's nobody's business, and it can hide it on your phone. It can hide it on multiple phones. So check it out at hidewithlisa.com. Anyhow, thanks again for tuning in. If you like what you heard, subscribe to the channel and share it far and wide. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.